Tiny Beautiful Things by Cheryl Strayed is a profoundly moving collection of advice columns from the popular Dear Sugar column on the Rumpus. What sets it apart is its blend of raw vulnerability, fierce honesty, and poetic storytelling. Strayed doesn't offer typical prescriptive advice. Instead, she draws from her own life, its darkness, beauty, mistakes, and victories, to deliver emotionally resonant insights to those grappling with love, loss, heartbreak, shame, and the search for meaning. Her empathy is fierce and uncompromising, and her advice is shaped by a refusal to sugarcoat the hard truths of being human. The book opens with the reminder that pain is not a punishment and pleasure is not a reward. This foundational belief informs every story that follows. From the woman heartbroken after an affair to the man questioning his purpose after the death of his child, Sugar listens deeply. And then, like a sage who has walked through fire, she tells them what they don't always want to hear but absolutely need to. Her strength lies in her storytelling, often slipping in her own deeply personal anecdotes, from the loss of her mother at 22 to the struggles with heroin and her own infidelities, not to center herself, but to connect soul to soul with her readers. Strayed writes in a voice that is intimate yet commanding. When a young woman writes in, anxious about whether to leave her safe but stifling relationship, Sugar doesn't just say, leave, or stay. She tells a story about when she herself chose wrong, the cost it carried, and the clarity that arrived only in hindsight. The reader doesn't get a blueprint, they get a mirror. Sugar doesn't aim to give people what they want, she gives them what they didn't know they needed. In doing so, she forces us to examine our own lives through the same raw lens. One of the most impactful letters is from a man who lost his son to a drunk driver. His grief is uncontainable. Sugar doesn't try to fix it, she knows she can't. Instead, she tells him a story about a miscarriage she had in a remote forest. It was devastating and lonesome. She then reflects on how grief shapes us, how it never truly leaves, but we grow around it like tree rings around a wound. This metaphor becomes one of the book's central truths: we are shaped, but not destroyed, by loss. The theme of radical self-compassion appears again and again. Sugar speaks directly to people who think they are unworthy of love or forgiveness. To the woman who fears she'll never be able to have children after an abortion, Sugar doesn't offer judgment. Instead, she offers truth: you were doing your best with what you knew. She reminds her, and all of us, that guilt is not proof of wrongdoing, it's evidence of our conscience, our depth, our capacity to care. She insists that we forgive ourselves not because it erases the past, but because it allows us to live more fully into the future. Strayed often refuses to give a simple answer. When someone writes in asking whether to pursue writing or choose a safer career path, Sugar challenges them not with strategy but with soul. She tells the story of how she wrote her first book while waitressing, broke and unsure of herself, with nothing but hope and audacity. She reminds the writer that to chase art is to commit to uncertainty, but also to authenticity. The message is clear: the path may not be easy, but it will be yours. Throughout the book, Sugar embodies tough love. She is as likely to say, "You must go," as she is, "You must stay." But when she does, she backs it up with fierce compassion and evidence from her own lived mistakes. To the woman who stayed too long in an abusive relationship, Sugar doesn't shame her. She shows her how strength often arrives in silence, in waiting, in one brave step after another. She acknowledges that even survival can feel like failure at first. Some of the most searing moments come when Sugar calls out people's self-deceptions. To a man who is in love with a woman who doesn't love him back, she doesn't let him wallow in victimhood. She says, the best thing you can do for her is leave her alone. It's brutal, but it's freeing. In a culture where we often glorify persistence and winning them over, Sugar offers the liberation of letting go, of surrendering to reality instead of fighting it. Strayed's advice is spiritual without being religious, moral without being moralistic. She writes with the wisdom of someone who has been broken and rebuilt more than once. She reminds readers that our stories, our real stories, are messy and unkempt. They don't come with bows. But they are ours, and they are sacred. That sacredness gives each person the authority to tell the truth, to stop apologizing, to take up space even when they feel small. To a woman writing about her distant relationship with her mother, Sugar encourages her to write the letter she'll never send. She describes the power of expression as release, not because it changes the other person, but because it changes us. Writing, in Sugar's universe, is therapy, revolution, and reconciliation. It's how we bring order to chaos, how we turn pain into meaning. It's also a subtle way Sugar shows us the healing power of the column itself. The book also deals with questions of infidelity, addiction, death, abandonment, insecurity, ambition, and body image. No topic is off limits, and no question is dismissed as trivial. Sugar treats each letter writer with reverence. Whether they're asking about a lost cat or a dying parent, she shows up with the same open heart and sharp mind. This is part of her magic. She recognizes that no pain is too small if it belongs to you. Again and again, Strayed reminds us that love is not a feeling, it's a practice. In one column, she says that the most important thing she ever did for herself was to stop waiting for permission. Love, in her world, means choosing again and again to be present, to do the hard thing, to make a home inside your own skin. This philosophy carries through the whole book. It's not about finding the answers, but about being brave enough to live the questions. The storytelling is what sets Tiny Beautiful Things apart from other self-help books. Sugar doesn't just answer a question, she unspools a whole world. Her stories often begin in darkness, a broken marriage, a heroin high, a bad decision. But they always move toward light. That arc, grace earned, not given, makes the book unforgettable. It's not advice we get, it's testimony. In the final letters, there's a sense of cumulative wisdom. Sugar doesn't claim to have all the answers, far from it. But she shows us how to live with the not knowing. To wake up each day and try again. To forgive ourselves for not having figured it out sooner. To look at our mistakes not as proof of our failure, but as milestones on the road toward becoming real. Reading Tiny Beautiful Things feels like sitting with an older sister or mentor who has nothing to gain from your suffering and everything to offer in the way of comfort and courage. Cheryl Strayed's greatest gift is her ability to hold people in their pain without trying to take it away. Instead, she lights a path through it. The path is jagged and slow. But with her words guiding you, it feels just a little more possible to take the next step. And that's what the book ultimately offers, not answers, but courage. Not certainty, but solidarity. It's a book that meets you where you are and says, keep going. You're not alone. And sometimes, that's all we need.